Good morning, data team, and thank you all for being here today. Again, my name is Zach Kirk, and I am the Shiloh Middle School data team lead, and I also serve as one of the eighth grade ELA teachers here at Shiloh. What we're doing today is going to be doing a data overview of the ELA end of grade scores from 2016 to 2019. So let's go ahead and get started. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss the data that has been collected from the Georgia Milestones EOG for English Language Arts across grades 6 through 8th from the 2016-2017 school year, 2017-2018 school year, and the 2018-2019 school year. So please note we will not be using data from the 2019-2020 and 2020-21 school years due to the lack of data caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. We also will not be using the data from this past school year, 2021 to 2022, due to it not being released yet. However, it will be beneficial to take a deep dive into that once it is released. So throughout this meeting, I want you all to be thinking about a couple of questions. Number one, what may be impacting our scores on the EOG? What are we doing now to prepare our students for the EOG? And what can we do to improve our scores on the EOG? So again, throughout this meeting, please be thinking about those questions. So overview of Shiloh Middle School in 2019. We are a Title I school located in Snellville, Georgia, in the Gwinnett County Public Schools District. Our enrollment that particular year was 1,825 students. Of those students, 16% were students with disabilities and 14% were English language learners. If we are looking at just the race and ethnicity of our student population, we are a largely minority school with 68% being Black, 21% being Hispanic, 4% being Asian Pacific Islander and white, and 3% being multiracial. We had 6 administrators. Teachers, we had 110. Our CCRPI score of that year was 76. This score takes into consideration the school's content mastery, progress, closing gaps, readiness, and graduation rate. Obviously, graduation rate doesn't apply here, being a middle school, but Shiloh's 76 is right at the average in Georgia, but lower than the Gwinnett County average. The student mobility rate is 18.6%. This rate is a little lower than the Metro Atlanta average, which is around 20%. And then our school climate star rating was 4 out of 5 stars. And this rating is calculated by a couple of components, which include a climate survey that students, parents, and teachers respond to, student discipline, safe and substance-free learning environment, and attendance by all stakeholders. So student trends, taking a deeper dive into our students. Our enrollment over the 3 years we're looking at has largely remained the same, with a couple students making a difference in those 3 years. Looking at our subgroups, first bringing attention to the limited English proficient subgroup. This subgroup made a drastic jump from the 2016, 2017, and then to the 2017, 2018 school year. And then it largely remained the same in 2018, 2019. The students that are eligible for free and reduced meals has largely remained the same over these 3 years, which are ranging from 73 to 75%. Our students with disabilities has steadily increased. And looking at the female and male subgroups, males are more populated at Shiloh compared to females. And then, not going into detail, but there's the breakdown of the race and ethnicity of our students over those 3 years. And again, the large portion being minority. Now, looking at some other programs here at Shiloh Middle School, our ESOL program, English to Speakers of Other Languages, has steadily increased over the 3 years. Our, again, special education program has steadily increased over the 3 years. And one important thing to note is that our gifted program has steadily decreased over the past 3 years. And quickly looking at our teacher trends, over these 3 years we're looking at, our teacher population has largely remained the same. So this teacher population includes administrators, full-time, part-time, support staff, paraprofessionals, etc. And looking at the data, the disaggregated data of our teachers, largely female, and majority Black and white. And that is pretty concise throughout those 3 years. So diving into our data now, it's important to note how the Georgia Milestones is scored. So milestone results are reported in scaled scores that describe each student's location on the achievement continuum, ranging from approximately 180 to 830, and they use 4 achievement levels: beginning learner, developing learner, proficient learner, and distinguished learner. So again, we are only looking at 6th, 7th, and 8th, and this is just important knowledge to know when looking at these scores. So we're going to be looking at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, with 6th grade first. The 2 graphs that are on the screen right now are breaking down the percentage of students in each achievement level and also the average score over those 3 years. So looking at the average score, 6th grade has made a pretty drastic increase from 2016 to 2018. And a large portion of our students are in the developing and proficient range, with the least being in the distinguished. Now looking at how Shiloh compared to Gwinnett County and the state of Georgia in 6th grade with the ELA EOG scores. Now the graph on the left is breaking down the percentage of developing learner and above and the percentage of proficient learner and above. So just to kind of bring you up to speed with what those scores range from, developing ranges from 475 to 524, and proficient is 525 to 598. When looking at how Shiloh compared to Gwinnett in Georgia, Shiloh was pretty close to the state of Georgia average, but consistently below Gwinnett. And we see that with the average score graph on the right here, with Shiloh being fairly close to Georgia in the gray and blue, but steadily falling behind Gwinnett County in the orange. So here is 7th grade, starting at just Shiloh's scores. Again, graph on the left, breaking down the percentage of students in each achievement level, and the average scores on the right. The difference between 6th and 7th grade here is that 7th grade did make a jump between 2016 and 2018, but decreased from the 2017 to 2018 school year. But the average per achievement level is fairly similar to 6th grade, with majority being developing and proficient, and the least being distinguished. Looking at how Shiloh's 7th graders compared to the district and state 7th graders, we see similar data here, with a vast majority of the time Shiloh and the state of Georgia being similar to the percentage of developing and proficient learners, but not being the same as Gwinnett, falling behind. And we see that with the average score graph on the right, with Shiloh and the state of Georgia, blue and gray, being fairly similar, sometimes better, but steadily being behind Gwinnett County. Lastly, looking at the 8th grade ELA EOG scores, we see fairly similar data here, with the vast majority of our students being in the developing and proficient achievement levels, and the least being in the distinguished. And again, we see some increase from 2016 to 2018. And then lastly, looking at how Shiloh's 8th graders compare to Gwinnett and the state of Georgia, we again see fairly similar data points here, with again Shiloh and Georgia being similar in the amount of students at the developing and proficient range, but not being the same as Gwinnett. And again, we see that on the right-hand side with our average score, with Shiloh being better than Gwinnett most of the time, actually every single time, but falling behind Gwinnett. So looking at those data points is important. I also want to bring attention to the Lexile level comparison between Shiloh, Gwinnett, and Georgia. And this is, in my opinion, the most eye-opening to see why Gwinnett is steadily better than Shiloh across the board. So these 2 graphs are breaking down the percent of students below reading level per grade in the 2017-2018 school year and the 2018-2019 school year. And as you can see, each grade level is consistently below Gwinnett, but really right at the state of Georgia percentage below grade level. So this, again, is really showing that an area needing improvement to bridge the gap between Shiloh and Gwinnett County's scores is the increase in percentage of students at or above reading level per grade. So reflection, kind of summarizing the main data points we saw here. 6th and 8th grade ELA has shown growth and improvement over the course of 3 years on the EOG. 7th grade has remained consistent over the past 3 years. Shiloh is consistently scoring better or right at the state average for grades 6th through 8th. However, we are consistently scoring well below the district average. Shiloh's reading level per grade is better or right at the state average for grades 6th through 8th. However, again, Shiloh is well below the district average. So the area needing improvement that we are highlighting in this first meeting is our reading levels per grade. And in particular, the number of students at or above grade level reading levels needs to increase across 6th, 7th, and 8th. So questions I want you all to consider and to also answer in a survey that is linked at the bottom, and I will send that out via email right after this meeting, are what are ways to increase the amount of reading done outside of the classroom? What are ways to increase the amount of reading in the classroom? What are some ways to improve instructional practices at Shiloh, and specifically the language and literature department? And what are other schools within the district doing to have higher reading levels? These questions are what you all are going to be giving feedback on in the survey link right here. And I do appreciate each and every one of y'all being a part of this data team, and I'm looking forward to hearing you all's responses and feedback about the content in this meeting and these questions that you all will be considering. So again, thank you all. Here are the references, and I'll be sending out that survey momentarily. Have a great day.